We're here today with developer of the Cerritos Surf Residence and soon to be the Cliffs at Cerritos, Nick Young. We're also the listing agent of the Cliff at Cerritos, one of the listing agents, Aaron Warkoff. And Rick Kessler could not be with us today. He is actually at a closing, but they're the listing agents for the Cliffs at Cerritos. And Nick, this is your first project in two phases. I believe there were 23 units here. And let's just go simple background on how you came to Mexico, where you started from, and how you got up to Cerritos.
Yeah, sure. Great. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. Back in 2003, I was quite young. I was 23 years old. So I was traveling down to Puerto Vallarta, believe it or not, for a 2-week vacation. Saw a big sales operation on site at the property that I was staying at, sort of inquired, talked to them a little bit, and they ended up offering me a job. Coming from Canada, certainly it was right over Christmas and New Year's. It was desirable, I was young enough, and it made sense to do it for a season. Sort of did the season, liked it, did pretty well at it, and headed back to Canada for the summer. Drove all the way back, Jeep, great trip. And once getting back there, September, October rolled around, and I was like, what am I doing up here? So the property had multiple locations, sort of contacted the Cancun office, thought that if I was gonna live in Mexico, I wanted to live in the Caribbean, and sort of went back down for the next season and ended up in Cancun. That was the original start of it. And then from there, I guess I've spent 11 years in Cancun, probably a total of 3 in Vallarta, and the balance of 7 or 8 in the Baja here. By far, the Baja was always my favorite. The type of business I was in, the volume of sales was on the East Coast, being Cancun. So purchased my first property here in San Jose in 2005. And have been trying to get back here ever since. Spent 15 years with that corporation, and right around the time that we had my daughter, it was time for us to put our roots down. Certainly this was a destination, and to start our own company versus work for a different corporation. So that's sort of a little bit of the background of 21 years in Mexico, various different locations, but settling and liking this destination the best out of the options.
So you purchased property in 2005 in San Jose, but we're still working out of Cancun and on the mainland.
Yes, correct.
And so coming from Eastern Canada, what was your background before you took that job in Puerto Vallarta? What were you doing up there?
It's always been sales. I mean, sales is the background, whether it's one form of real estate or fractional or residence clubs, or the transition was pretty easy. Up in Canada, I was working for what we would call a smaller regional destination, about an hour and a half north of Toronto, had a ski hill, was on Lake Ontario, or Georgian Bay specifically, but not really a lot of international travel up there. So it was more Toronto's hotspot to go on vacation, and in being able to offer people the ability from there to travel to other destinations, it just made a lot more sense to be in a destination that people were internationally coming to and, had a bigger desire to visit.
So kind of the backdoor mountain for Toronto, that was kind of the stepping stone for more international tourism residences, and your real estate kind of started from that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're here with a beautiful background at Cerritos. We're at a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Surf Residences. This is Casa Chida, and it is it's the only unit, I think, for a resale right now in Surf Residences, 2 phases, and this is a resale. It's a gorgeous unit. I just wanted to give a shout out for that. Also, so you come to San Jose in 2005, but what made you select Cerritos as an area where you wanted to do your development?
I would say I've been coming to Cerritos for probably 10 years. I had a very good friend of mine who we worked together in Canada, who was living just on the other side of the mountain in Gabilan. And in coming here, I would always make the trip up for a couple days to come and stay with them. And, you know, would sort of look at the area. And keep in mind, 8 to 10 years ago, Cerritos was a very different place. But I think a lot of the background really is from destinations I've lived in the past. So whether it's Puerto Vallarta and you look at sort of that stretch of Punta de Mita to Sayulita, I watched that area very much explode. You know, 20 years ago plus, you know, we were taking our day off, driving up in the Jeep to Sayulita and just surfing, hanging out on the beach. And to see where that's sort of come to over the last 2 decades, it's a very different destination. Spending time in Cancun, whether it's Playa del Carmen or Tulum, and I don't want to reference Tulum too much, because certainly the vibe and atmosphere here can't be compared as far as a lifestyle to Tulum. But what I can say is similar is secondary destinations that are spinning off of the primary destination. So that hour to hour and a half from the international airport that people aren't visiting Cancun necessarily or Puerto Vallarta necessarily, they're going out and getting in with a little bit more of the local community, if you will, whether it be Sayulita, whether it be, let's say, Playa del Carmen. And I saw a lot of similarities to here. You know, there's a lot of people who are coming up from Cabo who love the weather, they love the sun, they love the ocean, they love the lifestyle, but they don't necessarily want to be around the nightclubs. They don't necessarily want what Cabo has to offer. And I saw a lot of similarities, and this area was just starting to grow. It was a personal favorite area of mine. And at that point, let's say there wasn't a lot of modern construction. There was a lot of hacienda-style construction. There was a lot of palapas. There was a lot of thatched roofs. There was a lot of, you know, rounded versus straight lines. And we sort of had an idea saying, we love this area. We love the weather. We love the microclimate. We love everything about this area. Can we do something modern, clean, that isn't really being done in this area yet? And that's sort of how the original vision for Cerritos Surf Residence was started.
Well, I think the answer I agree with what Nick is saying about, like, you have this market that we have here in Cerritos, in Pescadero, in Todos Santos, that we sit between two major hubs, one in Los Cabos, which is definitely institutional tourism with resorts and hotels, La Paz, an industrial capital city, and you're kind of spot on. You have to be kind of a visionary, and obviously, like when you were taking your trips outside of these destination areas, this definitely falls into this category. I've been here going on 24 years next month, and there was nothing when I mean, you know, I came in camping on Cerritos, and there were just campers and a fish taco stand. That was it. You know, there was no beach crowd, no development, and since, like, and you had spoken about kind of, you know, you were being very polite in, you know, round lines and stuff, what we like to call rustic construction, if you will, and you're spot on, and that's why I think, like, in what's happened in Cerritos in the past 10 years since you've been coming here, I think that you know, Surf Residences is a great example of something that really stands out as a premier development in this area, comparable to everything that's been built now and since, in a modern theme, a great location, and I believe it was on 2 separate properties, correct?
Correct.
And so you know, we're going up to the cliffs at Cerritos, which I think is even, in my opinion, a greater location, more elevation, and stunning views, and that you've taken 4 properties and fused them together for about 1.75 acres. Is that about right?
I've been down here for a little too long, so I mean, I can tell you it's 7 meters off of 7,000, so it's 6993 meters.
Yeah, so 1.75 acres, and I think that's, you know, and you're going to do 32 units. You kind of could have stuck to, like, the same theme, because this has been proven, right? And again, you know, I want to stress that the idea of, like, coming to a foreign country, doing sales for a while, then taking it to the next level of development in an area that, I mean, you were part of the development that brought in electricity. That you truck in water here, so you have to have plenty of water storage, and thinking in the terms of what's available in the area. I mean, obviously you saw this as a destination, one of the few swimming beaches in the area, a great surf beach, plenty of activity going on. And so you could have rested on your laurels and built this and kind of just repeated that process, up at the cliffs. But you've taken on, I think, a kind of a new blueprint, if you will, and more, probably learning from this development. You've added some penthouses, more villas you're doing up there. I mean, this is going to be a real upscale. And so tell us a little bit about kind of what we can expect from the cliffs, and also what are some of the amenities that are going to go with it?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. So again, 5 or 6 years ago when we were in the planning stages for here, we didn't quite have the same competition. The competition was the rustic construction.
Yeah, this was really something when this came up. It was like very feature forward. The design was amazing. I remember coming here 4.5, 5 years ago, something like the first time to Cerritos, and I fell in love with it too. But I remember seeing this, and some of it was, still in development, but I saw this and I was like, oh, these guys are spot on their design and what they're doing here. So I was like pleased to see this being inserted within, like you said, the topography of, curved things and maybe things that weren't necessarily so architecturally forward.
I do believe that the surf residents kind of set the precedents, kind of set the bar, if you will, for future.
And even management style. I was really impressed with the management team here. When I met Nick and his team here, I was like, wow, these guys are so on top of everything.
Residents, concierge, management. So I'll why don't you finish the idea of the cliffs, and you started out by saying 5 or 6 years ago.
So sure, I mean, the modern concept is what we prefer, myself and my wife, Kiki. That's what we prefer to travel in. That's what we prefer to purchase in. So that idea was more of us versus the hacienda, let's say. With that being said, once we launched for sales, we sort of realized that was popular for a lot of people, not just for us. Selling out phase 1 and phase 2, both in a pre-construction sort of setting, that we didn't construct and have a unit left to sell, sort of, I think, is fair to say the market was waiting for something like that. Now, with that being said, we're the type of people who always want to strive for something a little bit better. So in acquiring the land's very unique in the sense that we had to fuse 4 separate lots. To obtain 7,000 meters that close to the hacienda and that close to the main beach, I don't know if you could replicate that today. But in looking at the opportunity, it was difficult in having to deal with multiple different owners, and every deal sort of hinged on the project together. So after acquiring the land, we looked at the topography, and it's very much sloped at the beginning to get up to what we want as the main level. So the main level, we're allowed, basically based on the PDUs, to build 2 stories from there. Well, how do we get to the main level? Let's do some underground parking. Underground parking they don't have here in Cerritos. We're all accustomed to it back in North America. Let's throw in a ton of garages so that people can now store their golf carts, quads, toys, surfboards, whatever the case would be. And let's build some commercial plazas down bottom. Let's put a gym in. Let's put, a commercial area, and then let's start with some 1 bedrooms and some 2 bedrooms just to get up to pool level. The second thing that was very important to us was, for years, the hacienda has been the historic landmark of Cerritos. There is no question. You start coming into Cerritos, you see pictures of Cerritos, it's a hacienda. Well, geographically, we're on the exact same sight line. If you're looking at the hacienda, or if you look over, you're now going to see the cliff. So how do we optimize that and really put a secondary landmark out there? Well, let's do a swimming pool. Everyone loves swimming pool. Let's build a swimming pool that's the same size as a football field. 100 yards long. Not end zones, but field. Let's elevate and cantilever that out over the project so that it's a focal point. And then let's put in an acrylic all-glass front so that people are hanging out on that infinity edge, staring all the way down Cerritos Beach, and everyone's looking up going, what is that? I want to know what that is. That's sort of the original concept and how we came up with the cliff at Cerritos. And the easy answer is the land was different. So we adapt the building style to the land that we're dealt with, and that's really the bigger transitional changes. Amenities, everyone wants more amenities. I mean, the concept was full-time condominium living with boutique hotel amenities. So let's put in a front desk, lobby, check-in area, and concierge. Let's have a full on-staff management team so that you're not renting your own units. Let's put in some maid service. Let's have full-time maintenance people working for us on-site at the property, protecting your investment, and reassuring the quality down the road. As far as we'll switch over to the rental game, or the property management, or the vacation scene, the most valuable asset is reviews, without question. And when you can engage and increase your guest experience, you're gonna have better reviews. Better reviews means more repeat business, more people coming to your property. So that was very important that, unlike some developers who will do a development and then they just, move on, which is quite natural, it's fine. We have the invested long-term interest to maintain the property, to reassure the quality, to provide the service, the guest experience, and to generate a revenue stream for those owners so that when they're not here, these condos are making their money and they're covering their monthlies. And that's the ideal situation as far as the concept of, let me buy a condo in paradise, let me have someone else manage it, let's generate some revenue, let's have it at a zero net cost, and then let's let it appreciate in value.
I think it's a great formula, and I think part of the attraction when we were initially getting acquainted with the listing and having a listing meeting was the idea that you're just not selling properties and allowing people to just, here you go, thank you very much, and we'll see you later. That concept was kind of I'm familiar with, because being one of the initial real estate companies in the area, I recognized that people needed hand-holding, buying in a foreign country, renting their house in a foreign country. Who do I see about this? Maintenance you spoke about. So what you've done is kind of get this all-inclusive package that someone could purchase turnkey and just say, here you go, here, hand you the keys, hand your company the keys, and you have the team to back you up. And I think that concept is really a formula for success. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you had touched on that, is when you're developing a project like the Cliff at Cerritos, and Nick had mentioned the pool aspect of it, you need to go to our website, and you could also go to the Cliff's website and see the renderings of the Cliffs and see the pool that Nick is speaking of. And it is really, I mean, when you see that, you'll understand, at what lengths Nick has gone to kind of surround this. Also, you've put in one bedrooms, which I think was really smart on your behalf. You've got a great starting, a starter unit that also is a great rental unit as a one bedroom, which is a tremendous investment. I think, is there 6 one bedrooms or?
There's 6 one bedrooms in the design.
In the design,
Yep.
Okay. And so, how much, when you're thinking of the Cliffs, or when you started Surf Residence, how much of that return on investment, you said, generating revenue for the potential buyer, how much are you taking into consideration that aspect on the developmental project?
A lot. We have, out of the 23 units here, we have 0 full-time residents. So the concept really is, for a lot of people, and a lot of people who are purchasing with us, is let's buy something, let's use it as much or as little as we can. We have some families who are 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. We have some families who are 4 months. And the beauty of the rental program, unlike a lot of ski or mountain management, there's no requirement to put any time with us. This is your unit. We provide the feature. If you're down here all winter long, great for you. You're enjoying the unit. On the other hand, if you have limited time that you can come down and enjoy here, why not turn the unused time into revenue? So the one bedroom specifically, when you were mentioning the one bedroom, was strictly sitting here for the last 2-3 years, watching how many couples will rent a 2-bedroom condo and don't need it. Well, it's $250, $300 a night, let's say, on average. Well, that's reasonable for this area. We're going to rent this 2-bedroom, but there's only the 2 of us. Why not optimize at a lower price point and capture that audience that they're not paying for something that they don't really need? So the 1-bedrooms were designed for a couple things. I mean, at the end of the day, people are down here enjoying the Baja lifestyle and the outdoors. Very few people come down here to spend all day in their unit, right? So it's like by purchasing a 1-bedroom, you're hanging out at that exact same infinity swimming pool. You're going to the same restaurants. You're using the same beach and ocean. You're capturing the same sunshine. But it's at a under $400,000 obtainable price point for a lot of people.
I think super intelligent on your part to include those units in the development. I also think you had mentioned kind of the lifestyle, like, Todos Santos, Pescadero, Cerritos, we are a lifestyle destination. There's no doubt about that. As Nick mentioned earlier, we don't have the nightclubs. We don't have, if there's a party going on in Cerritos, it's probably a bonfire on the beach or some type of festivity going on there. There is no disco. There is no nightclub here at Cerritos, but there are some great restaurants and some really good food establishments. And now a supermarket has opened up on the main road in Cerritos, hardware store. So we're starting to get people are starting to recognize, hey, let's build there's some more commercial plazas. The Cliffs is going to have some commercial development as part of the developmental project, and so all of this is coming and a lot more to the Cerritos area. But we are definitely a lifestyle destination. Cerritos is one of the few swimming beaches. People are walking on the beach. People are casting out here for fishing boats. They're actually, this is a destination where people are coming to, and Cerritos is one of the main attractions here. So picking Cerritos, you were a visionary because you were ahead of the curve, quite frankly. Even though it was 10 years ago, you were still ahead of what's going on. And I think having a footprint like Surf Residences will only complement the Cliffs at Cerritos. I mean, I think it's great that people can tour this and see what an all kind of package, all package, the entire package included, what it looks like, and just give you a kind of a taste of what that is. Also, I want to get into the idea of you wearing a developer's hat, because I know sales is your background. Getting into development is not easy, especially up here, dealing with the technical documents that are necessary for the condo regime, for the what La Paz requires for getting approved, all of that, not for the faint of heart. And that's one of the other things that that was a attraction for a good fit here, is that you live in San Jose, you're spot on, you're close to the project, you oversee everything, and you have a team that is helping you and assisting you in all facets of that, including the work that people don't see, the back end of developing a regime like this and making sure that all your boxes are checked. And you've done a great job with that, because that's something that I focus on as a broker, that I look at, right? And I can tell immediately when someone has that background and knowledge, and how much that helps the facilitating sales, facilitating projects. And I think that's key as one of your, as far as your sales background, marketing, you've done a great job with that, but also the technical end of what it takes behind the scenes. Did you want to speak about that at all?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that the importance of building a business, especially at the beginning, is, you're only as good as your team. So the importance, and again, especially at the beginning, is finding solid partners and solid team members. There's a lot of work always at the beginning. And as you sort of build the team and allow the team to do their individual divisional jobs, there becomes a lot more trust. Then we can look at expanding. So yes, I mean, the original part was development before property management. Sales came before property management, but each stage sort of came in its own section. And the real estate brokerage goes hand in hand with sales. So they're all intertwined, but it's all, let's develop each division step by step, put the right people in place, do the right training, and once it's sort of operating on its own, you're always there to help, to oversee, to answer questions, to troubleshoot problems. But then you can focus your time on sort of going to the next step, and then the next step. And at this point, I feel we're a pretty well-oiled machine that now is only looking to expand and grow the company. So for us to manage one property or two, you're just scaling a business. Right. If you watch the exact same successful things that's gotten you to that point and you just duplicate it and scale it, it becomes a lot easier as long as your foundation is solid. Now, as far as technical stuff, there's all kinds of things, people who would be a part of the team. When I told the architect, because architect and engineer is always different, that I wanted to suspend a 100-yard long pool 3 stories in the air. He's like, no, you can't do it. It's going to be cost prohibitive. No. This is what I want to do. So we had the first engineering team, and then we had a project manager who was reviewing everything. And the engineering was a little bit what we would call more old school. It was more traditional. It was heavy. It was not as technical as what our second engineer did. And our second engineer was willing to and able to lighten the building and increase the strength at the same time. So there's a lot of trust in your team in developing, overseeing, not just from myself, but from technical project managers, if we're talking about the project, to, just even a landscape architect. This is what I like, let's help create that as the entry. As we go into Palmilla, specifically the one and only, I love those absolutely massive palm trees that are lit up with fire. Myself personally, I don't know how to do that exactly, but I know I like that. So I like the entrance of the cliff to have 2 absolute massive palm trees and some fire orientated with it as people are entering in going, wow, where are we going right now? So, but to answer your question, it's all about building the right team. It's all about supporting the team. It's all about scaling the business and making sure the owners are happy, satisfied, making sure the guests are happy, satisfied, making sure the maintenance and upkeep is done, and making sure whether you're traveling here or whether you're traveling to wherever you like to travel to, you have that same level of expectations that are allowing you to enjoy your vacation time with your friends and family.
I think it's really sound advice. It sounds like basic stuff, but implementing it is not basic at all, and it takes a lot. Like Nick said, you rely on a lot of different part of your team to implement the process. We're at a pre-sale right now. You've taken, I think, 8 reservations, or no more, I think.
No, there's 8 reservations.
Okay. So we have 8 reservations. Do you have any up-and-coming promotions you'd like to speak about for the Cliffs, or anything that you have that you're thinking about maybe for this coming season? Right now, we're in September, and we've been really fortunate. We haven't had any major storms or hurricanes. And all of a sudden, right after mid-September, we've gotten pretty busy, which is normally one of our slowest months. And it's been, for the second week in September and moving forward, we've been having some really, tours under contract. So coming into the season, what do you have? Anything going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality from a business perspective is, I can go and borrow a bunch of money and build this project and sell it when it's finished. There's no question when you can touch, feel, and see a finished product, any salesperson can charge more for it. And the customer is willing and able and loves to pay more for it. So what we've been very successful in doing is offering different stages of pricing throughout the construction process. The last stage would be, okay, it's finished, bright, shiny, and turnkey, and that's obviously the highest price. Staging it back or scaling it back to the original ground floor type of level, there is the absolute lowest price point for the exact same unit. So we've been successful in, we sort of did both phases and sold both phases out before we were finished construction. Sounds like a great thing. I don't want to do that again. And the reason why I don't want to do that again is I want to have units left at the end that we can charge that absolute premium for. So there is a very specific pricing scale that as we go through sales, okay, we have more sold, okay, let's do a price increase. So for all of our owners, and they're, you know, they can vouch for this 100%, is they've done very, very well buying in the early stages of pre-construction. I mean, to the tune of 2 to 3 year returns, 150 to 175% change in the value of their condominiums. So we're always, that's part of our core principles. We're always interested in giving the money that we would have paid in interest back to the consumer to get involved early. With that being said, there's always promotions. I mean, it's sales, it's marketing, and there's always promotions. Couple things that we're excited for, and I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag entirely, but in purchasing pre-construction, you know, there's a waiting period. And that waiting period is rewarding the consumer financially. Whether it's 12 months for some of the first units or 18 months more towards the back end of the project, we're very open to putting together a collaboration in between Cerritos Surf Residences and our management company, Surfside Residence, in allowing owners of the cliff to come and use this inventory with a developer credit. We're not just allowing people to come and use it, but we're specifically designating some money to allow people to come down and stay here and watch the construction process. Yeah. Ultimately enjoying the area, enjoying the lifestyle, and getting your ownership privileges sooner than just waiting through traditional pre-construction sales. So you can ask your representatives, brokers about what's Nick talking about, that we can come down and start using this before it's ready, but that's one of our concepts. Another concept that I'm very excited for is there was a traditional home exchange platform, that you would trade your house with this guy's house. That concept was great, but it was very rigid, very limited. There's a company out there called Third Home that is a very, very popular network for higher end developments. Higher end projects. I want to go golfing in TPC Scottsdale. I want to stay on the course on the first hole, and I'm specifically using my friend's house as an example. And I'm going to trade some of my time here into a pool so that I can just book that. And the pool varies based on the value of the home, the high season, low season, the amount of time you're putting in, but a very simple concept of your condo at the cliff at Cerritos could be used in London, could be used in Paris, could be used in Scottsdale, could be used wherever the case would be, monetarily using the money to go on vacation somewhere else, or through an affiliation of a higher end ability to do that, being Third Home. There's always things that we're looking at to change the market, to be revolutionary, to be, you know, cutting edge or first of a kind in the area. But there's more promotions that are coming. We'll just wait and see as we get into the season on how they roll out.
So we've got a couple of teasers that have been shared with us, and I think it's great. I mean, just so I'm clear, and we're not committing to anything here, but so someone coming in, purchasing a 2-bedroom at the Cliffs might have the ability to stay at Surf Residences for a number of nights during the construction process, come down, vacation with his family, and take a look at what the development's doing at the Cliffs during that time. And not only that, but literally, and based upon numbers that you've done and that I've done in the overall market, based upon the year out construction, let's say, or 12 to 16 month construction time, not only do they might have a place to stay, but they might actually make, by the time they give their first deposit and by the time the unit's done, they might have increased 25 to 30% on their unit.
The projections look like around here easily, and that's just for what we know right now. You know, but 2 years from now, it's really unknown. It could be even more than that. But, you know, I think that those projections seem to be pretty realistic year over year.
I mean, let's put it this way. Myself, as a consumer making a purchase, I would want to get the absolute best price point, and in an ideal world, I would want to start coming to this area and enjoying that investment that I've already made. Now, with that
making community.
With that being said, it's very important to distinguish the difference in between a development company and a property management company, and understand that we're not just giving away free nights here. We're taking X amount of money, moving it over to this side, and let's keep in mind these owners. These owners now have more revenue and more potential renters coming in, and let's do it all based on real live availability. If you want to go on our website and it's available to you. If you want to go on Airbnb and check, it's available. So high season, low season, penthouses, ground floor, you choose how you want to come down and enjoy the area before your construction is finished.
Thanks for the clarification. Also, yeah, thanks for that you're setting funds aside for the property management of residences.
Absolutely.
For this project. Also, let's start. So in residences, how many penthouses are there?
Well, there's penthouse 56, which is a very, very unique penthouse in itself. It's a double unit. We have 2 penthouses in phase 1, and then we have 4 penthouses in phase 2, all with private infinity pools.
All with private pools.
Correct.
And in the Cliffs, you've gone to, is it 8 penthouses?
There is 9 3-bedroom penthouses, and then we have some bigger stuff as well.
Villas, right?
Yeah.
So there's 4 villas? 3 4-bedrooms?
There is 3 penthouse, and then 3 additional ground floor.
Okay. And those villas seem like they're going to be, tell us a little bit about.
There's, again, and it's, it all goes back to a sales and marketing perspective, that when we get a potential client coming through, they might want to spend a little bit of money, they might want to spend a lot of money. They might want a reasonable value investment, they might want something that's over the top as far as luxurious amenities. And as a developer, if you can offer something that appeals to more people, that's beneficial to be able to satisfy your client's requests. There is a 4-bedroom penthouse that's perched up above the infinity pool that measures out at about 4,700 square feet of livable space on 2 levels. Private pool, of course, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, and without question in my mind, that will be by far the nicest condo that's ever been built in Cerritos Beach.
Just kind of prospecting on that, what do you think that would rent for per night?
Our comp would be Penthouse 56. Okay. Penthouse 56 has a very unique finish to it, a flair. It's sort of Vegas down here. It has casino tables, it has roulette tables, it has every possible toy, amenity, game, board games, PlayStations, virtual reality. So that's something that, as the owner states, if you get bored in this penthouse, like you're just a boring person. At $1,500 a night, that's rented approximately 120 nights a year. The owner uses it a lot, and he does not discount his price ever. High season, low season, that's just, if you want to stay there, it's $1,500. I think that this unit, especially at the beginning, so there's sort of 3 stages. There's year 1, 2, and 3. Year 1, you're very much focused on getting reviews and building the brand. Year 2, you start to have repeat business. Year 3 is sort of where it flatlines, and that's where you're at. Let's maintain that business. So I think that $2,000 a night for a 4-bedroom private villa, private pool, $500 a couple, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities for a starting point. Wow. As you build up that clientele, then you can change your numbers based on the demand.
So essentially, you may be looking at, if you're doing in the 120 to 150 nights, you're somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 on a rental.
Yes. If I had more input into the unit, we would reduce the cost during low season.
Yeah.
To increase the availability, to increase the occupancy, and have more fluctuating rates that reflected the area's occupancy, which overall, for someone who is concerned on the return on investment, would optimize the return on investment.
So you've got the cliffs, you've got surf residences, and the Cerritos lifestyle. People who are renting here sometimes never leave this compound. Is that correct? I mean, sometimes they just stay put. They use the pool, they use the concierge services, the restaurant. But lifestyle choices around here. I know we have horseback riding on the beach. There's, I know there's an ultralight that takes people up. There's so many activities: surfing, swimming, fishing. What else goes on at Cerritos that people are attracted to?
Well, geographically, and I think I didn't hit on this as much when you were asking why Cerritos, the number one reason for everyone and for this development is going to be the beach. It is extremely long. It's a beach break. It's shallow. You can wade out. You can put your kids in it. And it is, as far as the southern Baja Pacific, one of the only true swimmable beaches. Now let's flip that, and that also doubles as a surf break. So you have family demographics who like the beach. You have surfers, and then you just have people who enjoy getting in the water and not, having any rip toe, not getting knocked over constantly. So originally, that is what's going to grow this area. This beach is phenomenal. It's second to very, very little in the southern Baja. From there, you have a lot of activities. And again, if we go back to 8 to 10 years ago, if you wanted to go out for dinner, you were going down to the beach to grab a taco, or at that point, you were maybe going to Free Souls. But really, you were going to Todos Santos every time you were going for dinner. So what happens as an area develops, as far as homes, condominiums, and residential, obviously commercial adds to it. Now you have a handful of restaurants, multiple handful, that are all within this sort of vicinity. You have a beach section with multiple different restaurants on the beach now that is all growing and new. You have Todos Santos, or you have Pescadero, which is very much known as the farm-to-table community. There is very much the microclimate here that a lot of people don't talk about. That, leaving San Jose this morning, coming up here, we're sitting outside in September, supposed hurricane season, and we're quite comfortable. I would not be sitting outside in San Jose or La Paz right now. So you have the gardens, you have the true farm to table. There's a lot of lifestyle that's here, and we tend to get a lot of active people in this area. Whether they're hiking a mountain, whether they're going out towards a beach, whether they're doing camel rides on the beach, whether they're enjoying the food and beverage. But it's really, for me, what I find is all about bonding time. It's all about whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's multiple families who have grown away from each other. It's all coming back and spending quality time together in an enjoyable, relaxed, family-oriented type of environment.
Yeah, well said. I think also the gastronomical features that have kind of filled in Pescadero and Cerritos make it that much more attractive out here. I also, you've kind of got a built-in clientele at Surf Residences. People staying here are going to be natural buyers for the cliffs at Cerritos. I mean, once you stay here, you get a taste for it. If you're staying here, most likely you're not looking for a Cabo experience. You kind of know what you're getting into here. The peacefulness, the serenity. I mean, that's our biggest attraction.
You need a car here when you're staying here too. There's not very many places like that. Even Pescadero and some of the other places, you still feel like you want to have a rental car to get around. Here, literally, you can take a van service right here to the residences or the feature at the cliff, and you can walk right down to the beach. You can walk right down to restaurants, and it's just like everything's at your fingertips here.
It's kind of like, if you will, I'm going to take a liberty of saying it's kind of like, you have this all-inclusive paradise in your backyard without the bracelet, and that's really what it is. Aaron, did you want to speak on anything about the cliffs?
Well, I think it's just an amazing development. When I first started talking with Nick about it and Rick, my partner, and we were looking at it, we really felt like this was a really special concept and really well timed for this area. And it was going to be like the premier condo development in the area as far as everything that's come before it. And with the underground parking, the garages, the really great restaurant on site, the amenities like that too. It is a place that's just gonna, I think, for us, when we're bringing clients to look at places, we really wholeheartedly endorse it. We feel like this is something that we can put our trust in the developer and the project, and I take them over here and I show them one of these units and I say, they did these ones already, look at these. And they're always like, wow, this is amazing. I said, this is similar to what you're gonna get up there. You know, they've even refined what they've done here going into this next project. And so people are really excited about it. And I say unabashedly that as far as I know about developments down here, this guy's got it all together. I mean, when we showed up for this morning, Nick is so hands-on that he was out by the pool.
Don't
with a
say
skimmer.
it. Don't say
it. He was skimming the pool because he's that picky, right? I have a picture to prove it, too. I might post it. But he was doing that, and that says a lot. I don't know too many developers that are that development proud that they're willing just to sit there and say, I don't even want a leaf in my pool. I'm going to grab the skimmer and I'm just going to pull that leaf out. Like, really? Who does that?
Nick, would you like to say anything, whether it be about the Cliffs, Surf Residences, or a shout out? I know you're a family man. If you wanted to say anything just regarding business, family, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, the Cerritos Surf Residence is existing. Come and take a vacation down here. Check out Cerritos. Check out the location and what we provide. The Cliff at Cerritos is obviously a great opportunity in the early stages of pre-construction, value, built-in equity. And yes, absolutely. My kids were born in the Baja. My wife, Kenya. And we have Maverick Ocean. We have Milan Sunshine. And if you can understand from their middle names of Ocean and Sunshine, they're Baja babies. So for us, this is very similar to a cottage back home, a mountain resort, a getaway. This is our 1 hour destination that the kids get to play on this beautiful beach, enjoy the ocean, live the Baja lifestyle in, again, a very family-oriented type of destination. Weather is great, sunshine is all the time, and it's not unbearable. You know, you spend 11 years in Cancun, and you know, come May through October, you really don't want to be there, but you're living there. So this is very much a temperate climate, year-round vacation opportunities, retirement opportunities, and something that's in an area that I believe is continually going to grow. When we talk about destinations, you know, Southern Baja is a hotspot right now as far as growth is concerned, as far as the amount of construction cranes, as far as the amount of new developments. And then you look and pinpoint within that Southern Baja destination what's growing. And I think you guys were telling me about the market reports that we're the only geographical location that's still going up as far as growth is concerned, sales, and it's strategic. This is the destination over the next 5 to 10 years that you're going to want to put some money and jump on board now versus wait for it to be a little bit later.
I came from selling real estate in the Hamptons, you know, $30 million houses, $12 million houses. There's $150 million houses there for sale. And what this area, when I came down here, I said, oh, this reminds me of the Hamptons 50 years ago, because you have areas of this thing where there's farms going right to the ocean, and those are starting to get developed closer to the beach now because the land's becoming more valuable. But still, that idea that you're surrounded by sort of an agrarian culture with the people who've lived here for generations, mixed in with concept hotels and boutique restaurants and things like that too, just offers something for everybody. The beaches here, Cerritos, the main beach right down here, if you want to have a crowd and you want to be part of some, you know, bigger experience, you can be right here, and it's amazing. If you just take a walk a few hundred yards past that area there, you really have the beach all to yourself. Same with Pescadero over there too. You can just walk along, you know, if you're a movie star or you're somebody who doesn't want to be recognized, put your baseball cap on, put your glasses on, and nobody's going to bother you. You can just walk down the beach here just undisturbed. So the idea of having that tranquility as well as fun. I mean, Richie and I both surf a lot, and Cerritos is one of my main places that I surf because it's a dependable wave. You can almost always find something there. And whenever I have friends come down or family, I can get them surf lessons, and you know, they can enjoy everything that I enjoy about living down here too.
It's well put, family, community, and one of the things I just, Nick, thank you so much for doing this podcast and for actually allowing us to be a part of the Cliffs. I think it's going to be tremendous. And one of the pinpoints I'd like to just go out on is that, the strategy that Nick speaks about this kind of being a bubble and that we've grown as a destination and the real estate market continues to grow here, and who knows what the future will hold. But based upon the past, it's kind of sustainable growth in the area, and it's really taken off. But one of the things that I like to point out to is that we're a community in between Cabo and La Paz, and like our second or third biggest market, I would say, is the community of Cabo San Lucas. People who are living there and buying second homes here or buying properties. And the Cliffs at Cerritos, I think, would be so appealing to someone living down in Cabo and using it as a kind of a weekend getaway and renting it in the interim.
good investment.
I think it's great for someone working full time down there because it really gives you the best of both worlds, especially since if you're a surfer down in Cabo, waves kind of turn off during the winter time down there. People are coming up here anyway. I want to just, it was great to have Nick here and talking about the development and what he's done up here. It's great to put a face to the developer and someone that lives in San Jose and is up here all the time and part of our community. Aaron, thanks for your time as well.
Thanks, yeah, it's great to be here.
And again, you're going to be able to see this in the first week, end of the first week or beginning of second week in October. And just thank you guys so much for doing this.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
We want to tour this. We want to show you what we can do here. So.
Please check out the Cliffs at Cerritos on our website at ricardoamigo.com, and also the Cliff at Cerritos.